Shalom, guys. Welcome back to another episode here at YASHAV Ministries with Casa de Israel. Yara. I always say thank you for being there. And I hope you have watched our last video. It was of our youth night, our youth Shabbat that we do, where we, eat, do the prayers, and we have been doing some mini concerts. They are not perfect. And they, the singers and the performers that are on the video would love to give you guys the best. So they are preparing themselves, and we are preparing to bring and get better as we go on. But I appreciate if you have seen it. If you haven't seen it, go watch it and support them. Support the channel. And like I always tell you, but I'm going to let Alejandro tell you.
Smash that like button and subscribe!
I'm definitely going to have him do this consistently. That is an amazing way to introduce. So, like I said, like, subscribe, questions, concerns, put them in the comment section down below. Now, we're going to continue with the book of Leviticus, the book of Vayikra. And it is very interesting because we are in the middle of it's the transition, right? Aaron and his sons have been exposed to the highest levels of impurity. His sons and last 12 portion, Shemini, as the conclusion of the consecration of the priesthood, the tabernacle, and the altar. In that process, his sons sin, bring strange fire that was not commanded, and they die. And now they have died in the precincts of the tabernacle and in the presence of the people of Israel. And they are of the ministry that represents the people and represents God. So now the tabernacle itself is impure for service. From there, it jumps into what is to be eaten, what is, the animals that are allowed to be eaten, which are clean and unclean, right? Tameh, tahor. And so it goes into this descriptions of what you can eat and what you can't eat. And it continues with this week's Torah portion with the childbirth, scale disease, the leprosy. And so it's going to speak of physical things that are impure and are ritually, or could cause you to be ritually impure, but not morally impure. Okay? So, before we get to that, let's do the Torah blessing. Baruch atah Adonai HaMevorah, Baruch Adonai HaMevorah le'olam ba'eh, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher ba'anu mikol ha'amim, ve'natan lanu et torato, Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Bless Adonai who's blessed, bless Adonai who is blessed now and forever. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who has chosen us from among the peoples, has given us the Torah. Blessed are you, Adonai, who gives the Torah. Amen. So, this week's Torah portion, it is Tazria. It starts in Leviticus 12, verse 1 through Leviticus 13, verse 59. And the Haftarah, or the prophet's portion, is 2 Kings chapter 4, verse 42 to chapter 5, verse 19. And the New Testament portion of the Brit Hadashah is Luke chapter 7, verse 18 through 35. So, Parashat Tazria continues the discussion of laws of purity again earlier in Parashat Tzav. And a new mother is regarded as Nida, a menstrual woman, and is considered impure, which is Tameh. Now, these words, Tameh, Tahor, are the Hebrew terms for pure and impure. Okay? Now, regarding the sanctuary, she'll be away for 40 days if it's a boy and 80 days if it's a girl. On the 8th day, the boy is to be circumcised. After the mother's period of impurity had ended, she was required to bring a yearling sheep, a burnt offering, and a dove for sin. If she's poor, 2 doves suffice for the offering. So we're going to read the Torah portion, and then we're going to discuss a little bit of it, and then I'll let you be free. Okay? So this week's Torah portion starts off, like I said, in Leviticus chapter 12, verse 1, and it says the following. וידבר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל lemor isha ki Tazria wayaleda zachar watame she beat yamim chime nidat do da dit ma. And in English, it says the following. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the sons of Israel, saying, when a woman gives birth and bears a male child, then she shall be unclean for 7 days, as it is in the days of her menstruation, she shall be unclean. On the 8th day, the flesh of his foreskin shall be circumcised. Then she shall remain in the blood of her purification for 33 days. She shall not touch any consecrated thing, nor enter the sanctuary until the days of her purification are completed. But if she bears a female child, then she shall be unclean for 2 weeks, as in her menstruation, and when the days of her purification are completed, for a son or for a daughter, she shall bring to the priest at the doorway of the tent of meeting a 1-year-old lamb for a burnt offering, and a young pigeon or a turtle dove for a sin offering. Then she shall offer it before the Lord and make atonement for her, and she shall be cleansed from the flow of her blood. This is the law of her who bears a child, whether a male or female. But if she cannot afford a lamb, then she shall take 2 turtle doves and 2 pigeons, the one for the burnt offering and the other for the sin offering. The priest shall make atonement for her. Okay, so here is giving these steps by step of the childbearing woman who has a boy or a female child. It gives a description that there's extra days if she is a female, and for the boy, he is to be circumcised on the 8th day. All right, this is due to the covenant and the prescription that was given to Abraham, right? Which he will be circumcised on the 8th day. As a continuation, the signal, the sign of the covenant, the pact that was made, and for the people in the camp. Now, it's interesting because chapter 12 defines the ritual status of Israelite mother after childbirth, whereas her child is born pure, and she is considered to be impure for varying periods of time depending on the sex of the child. 7 days for a son, 14 days for a daughter. The text is not explicit about the precise nature of the impurity sustained by a new mother during this period, although her impurity is compared with that of a menstrual woman. It is to be assumed that she was not permitted to have marital relations with her husband, and that her impure condition would cause defilement through certain types of contact. Okay, now the point is that these are physical things that happen naturally, right? And why do I say it like that? Because as we can read in Jacob Milgram brings up good points of the perspective in ancient times. And so a woman who is menstruating are seen as sources of impurity and forbidden from engaging in sexual intercourses with their husbands. If this smacks of an ancient superstition against menstrual blood, it most likely is, but only in part. In the Bible, the source of menstruation is taboo, lies in deep commitment to life in its perpetuation. Members of primitive societies have testified that their researchers that menstrual and colloquial blood following childbirth is dangerous to persons. Written sources give testimony that this view was also held by ancients. For instance, the Romans and the pre-Islamic Arabs. It is also recorded as a folk belief in the Talmud. If a menstruant woman passes between 2 men, it is a beginning of her menses. She will slay one of them, and it is at the end of her menses she will cause strife between them. Moreover, menstrual blood was regarded as a powerful charm among the Arabs, and here too we find an echo in the rabbinic writings. If a woman sees a snake, she should take some of her hair and fingernails and throw them at it and say, "I'm menstruous." Thus, it was the worldwide fear of menstrual blood as a repository of demonic forces. Is most likely the cause of the isolation of the menstruant. Now, Yet Israel's monotheism had exorcised the demons. What dangers then continue to lurk in the menstruation impurity? If there were no demons, if instead God was the source of both good and evil, then the impurity itself should have been eliminated in the Bible and the menstruation rendered neutral. To be sure, the demons disappeared from the official religion, but the demonic continued in humans. Impurity in Israelite religion was not the pure view of demons. It was a sign of moral failing and physical infirmity of humanity. Okay, so what I just read is a lot. Now, the point is that as humans, we start to create a reality based on superstition sometimes. And in reality, it's not that, if that makes sense, right? So menstruation time for a woman and a childbirth is a time very delicate for a woman, in which she is obviously giving birth to life, but in the process, she's also letting other things out, blood and any other excessive things that happen to come out. Right now, this process of her taking her time to recuperate also puts her in a position where she is impure, right? And this is very common in our time, right? They didn't have the things that women and men have today for certain things that naturally occurred to mainly women when it comes to the menstruation cycle and when they give birth. Now, I have given birth before. Well, not me, but my wife, right? But I was there, and I supported her and her process, but I didn't. She did, but it goes through a time, and they go through a time, and so they have to recover. They have to recuperate as well, and they also are physically impure, not morally. And I think last year we spoke about a little bit about it, but I want to clarify that, right? Because the examples that were given are how you say it, mystic or not mystic, superstitious in a way that because of menstruation there's some type of evil or in the blood there's evil. No. The reality is that God is a God of order and God is a God of cleanliness. And so that's why when you go to the bathroom, you clean yourself. That's when you get home from work or from school or from anywhere you take a shower or from playing sports, or now in our time, COVID. So now, because of this contamination that could happen, you're washing your hands, you're making sure that you wear a mask, right? All these steps seem common to us and seem like, it makes sense. Well, that is part of what is happening here, right? It's happening that God is describing to us the steps of purity that he respects and demands if you're going to come near him. And remember, why would a woman that just gave birth will want to approach God? Because maybe she's thankful. She's thankful that she was able to give birth, that she was able to bring life, that she could be a vessel, I want to say tool, but an instrument of God's design to bring forth life. And she might want to say, thank you, Adonai, thank you, Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, for giving me the ability to bring life onto this earth. But before she can come and say that, she has to follow this procedure. And you see there is a hata'at offering. There is certain things that she has to bring, which were prescribed in the first couple of chapters. Right. And this is why this system is implemented. And we're given certain scenarios that would be very important in ancient and Near Eastern cultures. Right. Giving birth of a child is very important. And in those societies, as I've spoken with the youth, they would offer their children in sacrifices and in offerings. And the ability to bring forth life and the command that God gives the people is that not only you bring forth life, but you're called to raise life and teach that life to raise more life. Okay. And that is the opportunity that we have. And that's how we bring light. Okay. And so today is going to be short. I'll speak about this. And I obviously didn't go into depth. I don't think I did very good at describing certain things, but because obviously to respect the topic, this command like every other command that's going to happen. Part of it, yes, there's things that are ritual, but it is physical things that God is trying to instruct us, to teach us, right? That we kind of already know, but to demonstrate to us, how do we approach him in his tabernacle or in his temple, and how do we come to his presence? And so that is all I got. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope I did a good job explaining that. And so, like I always say, thank you. Thanks for being there. And just understand that these are things that were followed in the New Testament. When you go to the book of Luke, you see how, Yeshua's mother brings him to the temple after her time has passed. So she does her part, and she gives us a registration in an evidence in the New Testament where these commands were followed. And so it is, like I've said before, these book, right, the 5 books of Moses, or what it is, which is the 5 books of Adonai, Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. These books are the foundation of what the prophets and the New Testament live and speak of. Okay, the references, everything has to do with this book. And it's very important for us to take some time and keep studying it and keep reading it. So, like I always say, thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like, subscribe. Well, you know what? I'm going to let Alejandro do it for me. Take it away, Alejandro.
Smash that like button and subscribe. And we'll see you guys next time.
Have a good week. Shabbat Tov and Shabbat Shalom. Thank you.